Hockey season is underway for some time now, and I thought that it would be a good time to review one hockey series that I haven't played on PS1 back in the day. For me, it was always only about classic NHL series from EA Sports or NHL Breakaway, which was our first original PS1 game we ever had. There were a total of 6 NHL Face Off games starting all the way back in 1995, with the first one and ending in 2000 with the last one. All of them were published by Sony Computer Entertainment with various developers throughout the series. So let's look at all of them now. First NHL Face Off is the only one which doesn't have a year added to its title, but we can call it 96 version because the next one was called 97 a year later. The cover athlete was a Detroit Red Wings superstar Sergei Fyodorov. This earliest title is naturally graphically most inferior, as you can see. The arena is 3D, but players are just 2D sprites. But I wouldn't say that it bothered me at all. The gameplay is fun, but only when I switched off the penalties, because otherwise I got penalized for every foul. It is more arcadey kind of hockey rather than realistic simulation. I had to get used to controls which were different than in NHL games from EA Sports. We have passing, shooting, body checking, dumping the puck, all the basic moves. Shots can be slap shots or wrist shots, just like in every other hockey game. Because of the 2D sprite players, most of the time I couldn't even tell whether the goalie saved my shot or no. Sometimes I scored randomly without even knowing how I did it. You can still tell that these early 3D hockey games were not polished yet, but overall the gameplay is quite fun. A positive surprise was to see player cards with all the stats and pictures. You can even create your own player here, of course with very basic info. There are several modes you can play here: friendly game, season, playoffs or tournament. It is all presented on this video cube, which is a very nice idea. Unfortunately, there is no commentary during the game, so you can only hear fans chanting and players skating and moaning after each hit. Unfortunately, you cannot select how many games during the season you can play. You need to go through the whole season of 82 games. Sure, you can simulate the games, but I never like to do that. I rather had the option to play one game with each opponent and jump into playoffs after that. Overall, I would give the first NHL Face Off a 6 out of 10. I think that it is a decent start to the series, with an emphasis on arcade gameplay. Second installment features one of my most favorite players ever, defenseman Paul Coffey. The menu looks nice, portraying my favorite teams from the '96 Stanley Cup Finals, Colorado and Florida. It is much better to navigate through this than in the first game. There is a practice mode now, which is actually not a practice, but a friendly game instead. Soundtrack is better here with some typical hockey music during the game. There is also an announcer who speaks after each scored goal. Unfortunately, the graphics remain the same, still 2D sprite players in 3D arenas. I mean, it was fine in the first game, but I would expect some graphical improvement in the second one. Also, the gameplay seems somehow worse than its predecessor. I got used to the controls pretty quickly there, but here it was clunkier and more stiff, at least that's how I felt. There are some minor cosmetic improvements, but the core of the game remained the same. That is why I would give this one a 5 out of 10.
1 minute remaining.
After 2 covers with Red Wings players, this one comes with John Leclerc from Philadelphia Flyers. Intro and menu are probably my least favorite here. It feels kind of lazy to me. The biggest and most positive improvement are the graphics. Players are finally fully 3D now, which is a much more pleasant look. But the gameplay feels kind of stiff again. I don't know, but I just couldn't get used to the controls as quickly as in the previous games. It felt like a chore to control the players sometimes. However, when I slowed down the speed of the game, it was a bit better. Players' penalties are a little bit improved, because they are not penalized for every single contact like in the previous 2 installments, but there are still some ridiculous penalties, like when the opponent player barely touched my goalie in an attempt to score and he got a 2-minute minor for that. Commentator's voice is best so far in the series, but again he is only limited to announce goals or penalties. Still no commentary during the gameplay, which feels really weird and awkward. I will give NHL Face Off 98 only 6 out of 10 because I expected the gameplay to be better, but at least the graphics got improved a lot. Fourth game in the series featured another legendary defenseman, then Chicago Blackhawks player, Chris Chelios. Menu theme sounds probably the best so far, because it really feels like an instant urge to play hockey. You have all the basic selections like in the previous games, so there is not much to explore here. The match starts with players standing on the ice listening to national anthem. Graphics are similar to those in Face Off 98, only a bit nicer. Very nice touch is a flying blimp and a Zamboni clearing the ice during the mission. Both of them with home team logo, of course. Gameplay is what really shines here compared to its predecessor. It is so much better, fast, fluid and fun action, just like it should be. Skating, passing, shooting, everything is much more enjoyable. Also, commentator is present during the whole time of the match, which is another major improvement. Plus the penalties are not so strict as in the previous games. This is how a good hockey game looks like, so I will give it a nice 8 out of 10.
Put on that one. That's about as well as he can fire it. He found himself in great position after the pass, and he did the rest himself.
Draw on the neutral.
John Leclerc appeared again as a cover player, this time for NHL Face Off 2000. To be honest, I don't like the menu in this installment. The flames in the bottom of the screen look cheesy, it's like they are trying too much to be cool and edgy. But gameplay is what really matters here. I praised Face Off 99 for a huge improvement in this part, but this one feels even better to play. I enjoyed the matches even though the scoring was not easy. You can skip through the interruptions, which was already present in the previous game, so the gameplay is much faster. When I chose 5 minutes per period, It went very fast, so I rather played with 10-minute periods. And seeing 3 stars of the game after the match is a nice touch. Commentators are good again, I would only prefer different soundtrack in the main menu. Graphics are crispier, players look more detailed, so again I will give 8 out of 10.
And fires away. Save. Just out of reach. Left side to Brown. Rink wide to Shatan. Played by Fazet.
Last game in the series for PS1 had a goalie named Curtis Joseph from Toronto Maple Leafs on its cover. Menu looks better than in the previous game, without any stupid flames. What bothered me was that even in this last game in the series, you still don't have the option to play shorter season. It is always the full season, but you can simulate the games at least. Anyways, graphics or gameplay remained more or less the same. Face Off 2001 maybe has the best shooting, because I felt that I had more control over the shots. One-timers are also better, and players are positioned in a more logical way on the ice when you are attacking. Commentators and soundtrack are fine, basically no significant change here. I will give NHL Face Off 2001 8 out of 10 because it is probably the best hockey in the series, but there are only minor improvements, so I cannot give higher score.
Off to right. Right, a drive. Columbus gets control. Lecition races over to get it. Heward. Cross ice pass. Drives one towards the net.
So that's all the NHL Face Off games. After reviewing them, I think that the series are very decent, especially from 1999 to 2001. None of the games is bad or unplayable, you can have fun with each installment. I would like to review EA Sports series as well in the future and compare them with Face Off series. I will also put all of these games in my PS1 game tier list, as I always do with any other games. You can purchase individual games from this series on eBay for reasonable prices depending on conditions or whether you are fine with discs only or full packaging. I hope you enjoyed the video. If yes, you can give a like, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to receive retro gaming reviews every week. That is all from me for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.